If you're ready to jump into fall with a cozy and inspired sketch, this is for you. We're going to draw a colorful and cute little squish pumpkin, and this paper is 5 by 5. I have an inch wide border around the edges, and I have linked everything in the description below, or you can use supplies that you already have on hand. I've been using these alcohol markers for a little while now, and let me tell you, I am loving them for laying down the base color, and then you'll see me come back in over that with colored pencil to add more detail. But these are so much fun to use, and they're very pigmented. I use a bunch of different colors in the video, and I've listed them all out in the description, and I use them over and over again in the video. But you will find all the details that you could possibly desire in that description, and I will talk you through the actual process here. So I've already added the main base colors. It's a little bit lighter on the left side of the pumpkin, and then more orange on the right side, and then it has this really beautiful green base, which is just divine. And right now I'm adding white for the veining. I'm not even sure what it would be called. Over the surface of the pumpkin, you can see that the paper that I'm using leaves really nice texture. So this is 300-pound cold press paper, which really has it has a lot of tooth, the texture on the paper, and you can see that come through with the colored pencil. And then I'm going back over the white with some green. So the inspiration picture that I was looking at here was on Pinterest, and I found a photograph of a pumpkin that I loved, and it was actually a cream color on these bands, but I don't have a cream colored pencil. So I was combining the white and the yellow and all the other colors. So now I'm coming back in with a bit of the yellow marker and going over the white colored pencil. And then I'm using the yellow to add some areas of highlight to the pumpkin. You'll see me alternate that with the white here. The striping on the pumpkin was mostly light colored, and I kept wanting to come in here with darker colors, but that really wasn't what the picture was calling for. So I kept going back to the yellow and the green, and then I'm using the brown to add a little more depth. And then this orange, look how much the orange brightened that up, that particular section. It's really incredible and really starts to bring the pumpkin to life. I was so obsessed with that. I wanted to go over the entire drawing with that orange color. Okay, carrying on. So you'll see me pull in a bunch of different colors here, and what I'm doing is alternating between drawing and then looking at the inspiration picture. And I needed to mix the green that you see right there with other colors because that particular green is very vibrant. So I needed to knock that back a little bit with some of the brown and then the yellow green. And here I'm erasing the pencil lines that I put all the way around the border because I had the pumpkin in the place I wanted it and didn't need to be looking at the pencil. The veining on the pumpkin had these little dark spots scattered through the light spots. So that's what I'm doing right here. Coming back in and then further emphasizing the sides of the pumpkin with the orange. So the furthest part out, you know, the part that you could touch first on the pumpkin, that was the lighter color, and then with the scattered dark colors. And then the orange was like further back in the pumpkin. So you'll see that in between the veining. Hopefully, hopefully you followed that and that makes sense. But anyway, so now I'm working back on the stem again. The stem actually has some white at the base and then scattered up through the actual stem. And then I'm also coming in on the darker areas and using both black and a really deep green to create some shadow. By the way, if you have other fall-inspired things that you would like to see, like leaves or acorns or something like that, let me know in the comments below and I will tag you if I use your suggestion because I am really feeling the fall vibes right now and you might you will probably get more videos like this from me. So I hope you are along for the ride, whether you are drawing along with me or if you're just watching for fun. Okay, we're still doing the dark little spotty spots, and I'm using a mix of the brown and the black, and then I'm coming back in and emphasizing it with the orange and the yellow so that you get really deep dark color next to a really light color, and it creates a really nice sense of contrast when you're looking at the pumpkin, especially once the entire thing is done. When you're working on a project like this, it's easiest to continue to build up the color rather than going in and trying to get everything perfect right off the bat. As you get a little further into the drawing, you do a little bit more fine tuning here and there, and there's a lot of switching up of the colors. And when I get a little stymied on one particular area, I'll usually leave that behind and move on to another area of the pumpkin and then come back to it later. I actually did that earlier on this drawing where I was laying down the lighter color and something about it just wasn't working for me that much. And then I ended up coming back to it later and putting some, or like scattering some orange and darker color in amongst the lighter color, and that really made it work. So sometimes it helps to step away for a little bit, even if you're working on another part of the pumpkin. Okay, it's time for another little zoom out coming up here so that you can get a feel for the entire thing when you look at it from a little further away. And I am just adding some final details here, adding more of the white and then coming back in, and I'm using this yellow that I haven't used before with the marker to cover the white and turn it more of the cream that I really needed. The bottom of the pumpkin needed a little bit more shading, so I was using the brown over the orange section because I want it to have some warmth, and then I used the black down on the very bottom of the pumpkin. Still experimenting with that white. It's hard to see what's happening here because these are just such minuscule little adjustments, but hopefully you can get a feel for what's going on here. The sharper your pencil, the better for fine detail. So we are basically at the end here, and I'm leaving a little bit of a shadow to place it in space. Thank you so much for coming along in this journey, and I'll see you next time.